My mom and I see my fiance in two different lights, so while I know he's an amazing person, she's convinced he's a massive abuser who's trying to use me as a baby factory for our hateful, racist future children. My mom, 55F, and I, 25F, were in a pretty bad car accident in Georgia in 2019 that gave her a traumatic brain injury and damaged her frontal lobe, decision-making, emotional regulation, logical thinking. She moved to Oz about 6 months later, was doing fine, then the pandemic hit and she was made homeless. I was in college at the time and in no position to up and leave, so we helped my younger brother, 20M at the time, move out to Oz to help her. Fast forward 4 years, and it has been a series of disasters for them. I have helped where I can, but they've been royally screwed by individual people, the insurance companies, by advocacy groups, and by mental health facilities. Well, she came to GA to visit for the first time since she left and is staying for a month. She doesn't know my fiancé, 27M, very well, since we started dating after she had left and they've only interacted on one family beach trip, which went poorly, and when we moved my brother out west. She hates the fact that his family has different political views than ours, never mind that he is very aligned to our beliefs. It's his family that's the problem. She also believes that he wants to isolate me from my family in an attempt to become emotionally abusive. She thinks that our future children will grow up to be hateful, racist, and that I will end up a battered woman. She has her own trauma related to abusive men, physical, emotional, all the works, and I know that any aggression, perceived or real, is hard for her to handle. During a discussion, my fiancé made a comment about how his mom had said she wanted to be put in a home if she were ever unable to take care of herself, and my mom flew off the handle in a rage about how he wanted to put her in a home and how he was attacking an older, disabled woman and that made him an abuser. The fight ended badly with her walking out of the house, swearing that she would leave and never come back. She screamed hateful things about my fiancé, about me, and about how I was re-traumatizing her by not defending her against him. That was yesterday, and after talking to my best friend and my work family, I'm realizing that I need to establish some boundaries with her. It hurts me, it hurts him, and it hurts the relationship between my mom and I when she screams insults at him and about him. She keeps saying she won't make me choose between them, but that if I want to be with him, my family will hate him forever and will never even be in the same room as him or his family again. Has anyone else ever been in a situation where they had to contemplate cutting ties with a parent? I don't want to cut her out, but she is causing me so much stress, and she is actively driving a wedge in my relationship with my fiancé. Am I just being a young, naive girl in love? Or does this behavior seem irrational? Yes, I know she has a brain injury and is already irrational to some degree, but this seems like way more than that to anyone else. My family is small, just me, my mom, and my younger brother at this point, and I feel like I'm in an impossible situation where I either lose my fiancé or my mom and brother. Literally any advice is appreciated. I wouldn't be on Reddit unless I was desperate. Commenter: I can't believe you allowed her to treat your fiancé that way. If this were a man allowing his mom to treat his wife that way, all hell would break loose. If you want a happy marriage, set her straight and make her behave. If she refuses, cut contact. I've cut contact with my crazy parents. I have no regrets. My life has so much less drama. Constant drama can ruin you mentally and physically. Commenter 2. She is saying she won't make you choose between them, but she will hate him forever. So she has made her own choice. Live your life. If she refuses to visit, it's her choice. If she refuses to come to your wedding, it's her choice. If she refuses to meet any future grandchildren, it's her choice. All you can do is be ready to welcome her back with open arms if she decides to be more reasonable. But you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that may never happen. And be aware that if you ever decided to choose your mother instead of your fiancé, she would probably find something she hated about every man you met and you'll be alone until she dies. Update 1. I have been engaged to my fiancé for just over 2 years, and we dated for nearly 3 years before he proposed. We set a wedding date back when we got engaged, but postponed it because my family was going through a rough patch and it didn't feel right at the time. We are now aiming for April 2025. Venue is booked and everything. However, my mom despises my fiancé. She says that he has warning signs of an emotional abuser, he is selfish and wants to keep mine to himself, and that he is going to turn me into a helpless housewife to just pop out babies for his southern, racist family. For clarification, I am a kindergarten teacher, currently pursuing my master's degree, and have exactly 0 plans to have kids in the next 5 years, which he agrees with. He is an electrical engineer, also pursuing a master's degree, and does not agree with his family's conservative beliefs. She lives across the country and recently came to visit for a month. It ended badly. I mean, screaming fights, storming out of the house, and crying until 2 a.m., all of which culminated in me driving her to the airport 2 weeks early. She swears she will never step foot back in the state for any reason, and she refuses to be in a room with my fiancé or his family ever. Well, while she was here, I didn't get a chance to tell her that we are planning to go through with the wedding, things are booked, etc. I fully intended to, but with all the fighting and turmoil, I didn't have a chance. Now, my fiancé and his family are asking questions about where we're at in the wedding planning process, and I'm really torn about how to answer. On the one hand, we could reschedule the entire thing and I could work with my mom to get her to agree to come. On the other hand, we could go through with the wedding, but I would have exactly 0 family members present. I desperately want my mom to be there, but I don't know if she'll ever come to terms with my fiancé's existence and importance in my life. And I'm not sure I want to keep postponing the wedding because she's not ready for me to get married yet. So, would I be the asshole if I do go through with it? Extra, my mom does have a TBI, which affects her emotional regulation. She has had the TBI since before I started dating my fiancé, so he never met her beforehand. Despite the brain injury, she swears that she is being perfectly reasonable and that as an older woman who has dated a lot more than I have, just the one, and has known abusive men, that I should trust her implicitly and leave him. Info, everyone has been asking, so here are some of the warning signs that she says are emotionally abusive. He wouldn't leave me alone with her while she was here visiting. She is referring to the fact that while we would talk in the evenings, he was always in the room. Because we talked in the living room of the small house where we live. Never mind that he literally stayed out of the house for 2 days, so we could hang out together, just my mom and I. He does not encourage a strong bond between my mom and I. She means that he has not pushed me to go visit my mom and brother across the country, even when they needed help. My reasoning is that I don't actually want to go across the country very often, so even when he asks me if I want to, the answer is usually no. He is gay and using me as a beard. She is referring to the fact that years ago, before we even started dating, I made an offhand comment about how people thought that the new server might be gay. We worked in a restaurant with lots of liberal college kids, and straight people were the minority, so we kind of assumed everyone was LGBTQ, plus unless told otherwise. I was obviously wrong, as we have been together for 5 years with no issues in the bedroom and many conversations about the facets of sexuality. He encourages me to lie to her. I lied about going on a trip to Puerto Rico, entirely by my own choice, and despite multiple warnings by him and my beat friend that it would end poorly. It did end poorly, and she does not trust me anymore, which is a separate issue. But again, my choice to lie. He actively told me it was a bad idea, and I didn't listen. Commenter, you know there is no solution here. Your mom has made it very clear, she does not and will never consider your fiancé family. She will never be okay, never agree, never settle down. Maybe she's right about why. Maybe she's not. We're never going to be able to judge that for you. I would hope you've given it due consideration, consulted without third parties who have no stake in the matter, and made your own judgment. After all, you're still with him even for how long she's been saying that. What you do know is your mother is never going to treat him with the respect he deserves as your partner, and she is the one who is choosing to be removed from your life because of who you love. That is her decision. Not yours. You cannot change her mind or make it anything than it is. You can have wedding, and your married life, for better or worse. But it's going to be without your mom. I'm sorry that dreams don't come true sometimes. Update 2. A little background: we have had Life 360 on our phones for years, since my mom was a single mom and my brother and I got home from school before she did. It's never been a problem because she checks it for peace of mind, knowing where her kids are. Now, she lives across the country with my brother, and I am in a different state. Last Christmas, I turned off my Life 360 because I was going on a trip to Puerto Rico that I knew she wouldn't approve of. I lied about it when my brother asked why it was turned off. My mom caught me in the lie, and it blew up our relationship pretty badly because she felt like she couldn't trust me. I am well aware that I was the jerk in that part of the situation. I shouldn't have turned it off, and I definitely shouldn't have lied. However, nearly a year has passed, our relationship is still very rocky, and recently we are on the outs about my upcoming marriage. She doesn't approve and doesn't want it to happen, but I'm still doing it. She has started using my location against me, calling and starting fights whenever I spend time with my soon-to-be in-laws, asking why I'm leaving the house in the evenings, or what my plans are on the weekend that require me to drive an hour away from home. About 2 weeks ago, she and my brother turned off their locations and told me they were going to walk into the desert and unaliving themselves. I panicked, called the cops, and it turns out it was all a cry for help. They were sitting at home, totally fine. Well, I turned off my location out of anger and frustration. The thinking was, if they were going to turn theirs off to lie to me, then they didn't need to know my every move anymore. My brother texted me a couple days ago, asking me to please turn my location back on so they can know when I'm home. I am reluctant, because I am still angry and hurt by their words and actions, and it has honestly been pretty freeing to know that my mom can't sabotage my days out by calling and starting fights when I leave the house. I know that she does look at my location for peace of mind. Remember, brain injury, very emotional, very anxious. I also feel that at 25, in a different state, I should have a certain level of privacy from my mom. She does not need to know my every move. But I did turn it off once before, and that ended up causing a huge pile of mistrust and lies, and I don't want to do that again either. So would I be the jerk if I keep it turned off? Or should I do what they want and turn it back on? Update 3. 7 months later, for some background, my mom and I were decently close growing up, but she moved to Arizona when I was a junior in college, and our communication has suffered a lot. There are other circumstances that have led us here, but the gist is that I don't want to talk all the time. I do not have the social battery to talk to her every single day after school. I am a kindergarten teacher. I usually aim for once a week updates and check-ins. However, my mom is a very social person and has a hard time understanding how I can care about her when I just don't talk to her. She says that it feels like I am ignoring her, that I don't care enough about her life, and that this isn't a healthy relationship. She says that I should be able to communicate more regularly with people that I love. I am stuck and struggling with how to move forward, because the fact is, she is draining. Our phone calls are several hours long and so incredibly exhausting, and I don't want to force myself through that just to maintain a relationship with her. Then again, she is my mom, and relationships take work on both sides. Do I make myself suffer through more frequent phone calls, or is it okay to not talk to someone, especially a mom, that frequently? Am I missing something about how communication should work between a mother and daughter? I'm self-diagnosed autistic and my mom chooses not to believe me, because she thinks it's an out for me not handling things I should. Update 4. So, an update, we got married. A lot of y'all told me to go through with it, and after a lot of thought, we did. When my mom left in October, we were in a bad place, and we were having a lot of really awful phone calls and screaming fights. I was desperate to do something, and I finally found a therapist who helped me process some of the things that happened between my mom and I and my role in things. In the months leading up to the wedding, my mom continued to scream at me over the phone and make threats about choosing him or her and how she hoped I wasn't the kind of girl who got rid of her family to please a man who would end up leaving her anyway. She was downright hateful, and I spent a lot of time crying over our relationship because I couldn't believe we had gotten to this point. Even with knowing that some of her dysregulation was because of a brain injury, I just couldn't believe my own mom would threaten me, call me a cunt, and tell me that I wasn't allowed to be upset with her because she had been traumatized her whole life. We got married in April, and my mom and brother did not attend. I was able to reconnect with my mom's cousin, who I used to be close with as a child, and she and her family came to the wedding. I had my best friend, her family, and my work family there to support me. A close friend performed the ceremony. Plus, of course, my husband's family was very supportive. There were times I missed my mom, and I wanted to see her smile in the audience, but I was ultimately glad that she wasn't there. I would have felt like I had to perform and cater to her every whim, and I am so glad I was able to just have a lovely day with all the people who came to celebrate with us. Just to reaffirm my feelings about her not being there, my mom did not contact me at all on the day of it and only called me a week later to ask whether I would be sharing any pictures with her. I did send her a few, because I thought a small part of her might care, but all she did was comment on how it looked like a cheap Amazon wedding. She hoped I was happy with my shitty choices and that they were worth the loss of my family. I miss her constantly, despite all our issues, but I haven't cut her off completely. We've been having a hard time communicating it all right now, and I don't know if it will ever get better. But I am happily married, and I don't regret it. Thanks for reading this far, and I appreciate all the kindness and honesty I got from my original post. Commenter, frankly, you should go no contact. Your mother is a toxic, awful, cruel person. TBI or not, you should not continue to subject yourself to her abuse. She will ruin every special moment in your life if you allow her to. Plus, if you do eventually have children, do you want them subjected to her unstable behavior?